servants of God. Let's join in.
Number 2, the next thing we must know if we are to understand what it means to be a servant of God is the difference between a Roman slave, I will call it, and a kingdom slave. That word servant, the real translation from the Greek word is actually the word slave. Slave. The word is actually the word doulos in Greek. But in English, I don't know whether they want to polish it up a bit, so they changed it to servant. So even if I were to change the title, I should call it what it means to be a slave of God. So if I say servant, you may think that, it is like somebody who is badly treated and has no rights. So even when you think about it that way, it almost becomes something that you don't want because it looks very evil. But he's not talking about a Roman slave. Are you understanding me? He's talking about a kingdom slave. And a kingdom slave is different from a Roman slave. So I want us to read 2 scriptures that use this same word, servant or slave. And Jesus tells a story. And in this story, he talks about slaves in the kingdom. Who they are, what they are, and what they do. So I'll read 2 scriptures. Matthew chapter 25, verse 14. Let's read the scripture. The kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country who called his own servants or slaves and delivered unto them his goods. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Then he that received 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them other 5 talents. 17. Likewise, he that received 2 gained other 2. He that received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. 19 says, after a long time, the Lord of those servants, these are not servants in Rome, they are actually slaves in the kingdom, cometh and reckoneth with them. 20. So he that received 5 talents brought forth other 5 talents and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I've gained besides them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. So here, when his Lord came, which is of course God himself, he commended his servant. The second one too was also commended. The one who was not commended was the one who received only 1 talent. Verse 24. Let's read what happened to that one. Then he that received 1 talent came and said, Lord, I know you, that you are a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not strawed. 27, he said, thou oughtest therefore to have put my money at the exchangers, so that at my coming I would have received my own with usury or interest. Free money, go and work with it. Now you're rather angry. This is the story that Jesus told about the dynamics of servants, or if you like, slaves in the kingdom. Let's look at the next story. Luke chapter 12, verse 42. It's another parable. Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord will make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. I say unto you, he will make him ruler over all that he has. 45. But and if that servant say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, shall begin to beat the men servants and the maid servants, to eat and drink and to be drunken, the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he's not aware of, and will cut him asunder and appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. Let me tell you something. Whilst we are waiting for the Lord, don't let us misbehave, because he can come at any time. Verse 47. Then he gives some lessons. He that knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. In other words, when it comes to the kingdom and servants and being slaves of God, ignorance is not an excuse. 48. And he that knew not, but did commit things worthy of stripes, shall also be beaten, but with few stripes. In other words, the more you know, the higher your judgment.
Thanks for joining us. Today we learned that to be a servant actually means to be a slave, and we must understand that slaves in the kingdom of heaven are not the same as Roman slaves. Join us same time tomorrow for the continuation of this message. Before we go, here's a praise report to boost your